Hi, Josh. Lovely to see you. Come in, take a seat, take a seat. So tell me, what seems to be your public speaking problem?
Well, I think there's something wrong with me, with the way I speak in front of people. I've been told I don't look the most confident.
You don't look the most confident. What does that mean?
Well, my posture's not the best. I don't know how to act when I'm talking. I'm already an awkward person anyway, but public speaking just makes me feel so much more not right. I just retreat into my shell and I don't know how to come out.
It's a really good way to put it. And well, thankfully, there are loads of things we can do to address this. The thing is, if you don't look confident when you're stood up speaking in front of people, they won't think you sound confident as well. Those two things are very much linked. So what we're going to do, I think, with you is we're going to go right back to basics and we're going to warm up the body from the feet to the head just to make sure that everything is energized, is ready, and then we can move into some posture work and some other type of body-related work. So to do this, we are going to do some gentle exercise to warm up our bodies and help create some very healthy postures. So for now, I need you as a willing volunteer, and I also need somebody else to demonstrate these exercises in a seated position as well. So using the magic of theatre, I'm going to snap us into the situation. Okay, those at home, this is now for you to follow on with. Why are we going to be doing some physical warm-ups? Because an unenergized body gives an unenergized performance. Tenseness and stiffness restrict you, creates unhealthy habits, and means your voice won't be ready to do incredible things later down the line. Now, only do what you're comfortable with. Pause and rejoin if you need to, and if you can't do an exercise for whatever reason, wait that exercise out and join us in the next one when you can. Okay, so we have the lovely Cody to one side of me. He's going to be following along with me, showing you the exercises stood up. And we have Josh sat down, showing you the exercises adapted for if you are sat down. As I say, join in when you are comfortable, and if you can't do that exercise, join in the next one. So, to start with, we're going to exercise the feet. And what I want you to do is, if you are stood up, just make sure your weight is pitched ever so slightly onto the balls of your feet. If you're sat down, you don't need to worry about that weight shift too much. And what I want you to do is lift your foot up, however that is comfortable for you, and to rotate your foot 10 times around the ankle one way, however that is for you. So I'm starting clockwise. And then whenever you've done 10 times, roll it the other way. And then when you've done that, put your other foot down, keeping that weight slightly pitched forward, lift the other foot up and rotate it 10 times. You should hear some satisfying clicks. And rotate the other way as well. Fantastic. Bring your feet back down. Okay, so what we're going to do is loosen the knees a little bit now. So if you are stood up, I just want you to just take a step apart a little bit so that they're what we call hips width apart. So if you're stood up, what I want you to do is just bounce from your knees a little bit, just to loosen those up. And if you are sat down, I want you to do some gentle kicks. Josh will demonstrate now where you're just lifting your legs up gently and bringing them down, and do that a few times. If we're stood up like Cody and I are, keep bouncing on those knees just to loosen them, and exchange legs if you're sat down, and do that until they feel a little bit looser. We have a tendency to lock the knees when we're stood up, and if things are tense, things don't feel like we have a sense of dynamism, we're not ready to move, we don't feel relaxed, and we don't feel energized. So if you've finished that, bring your legs back to whatever your neutral position is. If you're sat down, bring them back next to you. If you're stood up, you're just going to raise your weight a little bit higher, but keeping those knees unlocked. We don't want to lock them again after we've loosened them. Now to exercise the thighs a little bit. So if you're stood up like Cody and I, we are going to do some gentle squats. We're going to do 10 of those where we just put our legs even further apart a little bit, and we're going to try and keep our back nice and straight, and we're just going to squat as far as we can go and is comfortable and come up. We're going to do that 10 times. And if you're sat down on the chair like Josh is, I want you to do 10 stomps on either interchanging leg. You're stomping from one leg to the other, just like Josh is doing now. Nice and gentle. We're not making lots of noise here. We're just exercising our thighs ever so slightly. And if you're stood up like Cody and myself, see if you can really control these squats and just exercise the muscles to have that sense of dynamism. We don't want them to be full of really springy energy. We just want to stretch them out and give them an extra sense of being warmed up. Okay, and if you've completed your 10, just come back to neutral. Bring your legs a little bit more together if you're stood up. Okay, so we're going to exercise the back of the rib cage, the upper chest, and the spine, all in one exercise. So I want you to embrace yourself, one arm on top of the other, and you can do this if you're stood up or if you're sat down, and give yourself a nice warm hug. And then you're going to flop over at the waist, which you can do if you're stood up or sat down. And I want you to just loosen those knees, just gently flop over, and making sure to relax the neck. Don't hold the head up. And just breathe here for a moment. And then when you're ready, undulate your spine, and I want you to lead with your head, and you're just going to let your arms drop, and you're going to gently come up, leading with your head, and stack your spine vertebra by vertebra and let everything return to what is a natural position. Okay, now to exercise the upper chest, and I want you to do that lovely warm embrace, once again bringing your arms one on top of the other, and then I just want you to lower your shoulders, and that will just open up the upper chest. And then keeping that position, gently bring your arms down to the side of you, and we've opened up the upper chest really nicely. Okay, now to exercise the spine. So similar to the sort of flop that we just did earlier, we're going to do that without the embrace now, so we can just focus on the spine. So start loosening all your vertebrae by dropping your head first, and let that lead you as you gently flop nice and slowly, letting your arms hang freely. You can do this if you're sat or stood. Unlock those knees, don't let those get knocked. And just breathe in this position. Relax the neck, relax the head. No stiffness here. And undulate the spine, leading with the head and giving those vertebrae a really nice stretch. You may have to stick your bum out a little bit, that's fine. We're in a safe space here, and allow those vertebrae just to sit nice and naturally. Now to exercise the arms, and I want you to lift both your arms up to the side if you can, and stretch. Stretch as much as you can. Bring them up to the center. Turn your hands out and push. Keeping those arms nice and stretched. Warming the shoulders, the arms, as they gently return back. Just do it one more time for luck. Come to the side and stretch those arms up to the center a little bit quicker now, and push out to the side. Fantastic. And just roll those shoulders back just a little bit. Now to exercise the shoulders a little bit more. And I want you to lift them up really high and then take them really low. And really high and really low. Really high again and really low. One more time, really high and really low. And to continue to exercise these shoulders, you're going to rotate your arm, and you're going to do that underarm to begin with pick an arm, any arm will do. And I want you to reach back as much as you can, as much as you are reaching forward. We're wanting to do full rotations here. And then bring it the other way. That's overarm for me. Nice, and really extend the arm and reach back and over. Change arms, this way for me. Extend it really nicely. Feel those satisfying cracks. And rotate it the other way. Feel like a swimmer. Look at these lovely rotations. Nice, and bring that arm back down to the side. Just to give it a final exercise, I want you to clasp your hands behind you and then stretch out, pushing your chest up, pulling your hands back. Don't push it too hard, and then just release that. And then roll your shoulders up and back just to reset everything back to a neutral. Now we're moving a little bit higher up to the neck and the head. And I want you just to lean your head over and bring your chin a little bit to your chest. And then I want you to relax your mouth by opening it a little bit. We don't want a tense jaw. And then I want you to roll your head all the way over to one side. Don't push it too much, be very gentle here. And take it over, round to the other side. And let it rest there. Bring it round back to the other side. And to the other side again. One more time to the other side. And then bring your head back down to center at the bottom. And just gently lift your head up and stack just the little bones at the back of your neck. Nice and gently, and let your head rest very comfortably atop your neck. And just to move our attention to our jaw, a very, very important part for speaking. We don't want it to be tense. I just want you to open your mouth to what's called a 2-finger drop, because, surprise, it is 2 fingers width, only it is this side. Open and close at that length. Open, close. Keep doing that. Now to continue to exercise the facial muscles, including the jaw, I want you to imagine you've just bitten onto a very sour lemon and you're scrunching up your face. So do that for me. And release it. Scrunch. And release. Scrunch. And release. Now we want to expand and go the opposite way. So imagine you're roaring like a lion. Expand your mouth as wide as it can go, as well as your eyes and every other facial muscle. So do that now. Expand. And release. Expand. Release. Expand. And release. If you do this in front of the mirror, you may get a bit of a fright, but this is all worthwhile, I promise. Now I want you to imagine that you're chewing on a really sticky toffee. And it's quite a big toffee as well. So just imagine you pop that in and start chewing. Making some really lovely mouth noises, but keep going. Both sides, up and down. Keep that going for another moment. And then release that. Bring your mouth back to its normal position. Then I want you to just do another 2-finger drop. And the corner of your jaw, really, that is just where your hinges rest for your jaw. Those are the things which help it open and close for us to speak. So I want you to keep your mouth open, your jaw open, and just massage the hinges. And go up to the ears a little bit. Fantastic. And finally, to exercise your tongue, I want you to stretch it out and try and touch your chin, or even lower than your chin if you can. So just bring your tongue out. Take it back in. Then stick it out. In. Stick it out. In. Stick it out again. And in. Now we are warm and ready, and the best thing about these exercises is that they can be adapted to take you about 5 minutes. And I'd recommend that you can do these exercises to start off your day, particularly if you're often needing to speak. This helps the body feel relaxed, feels free from tension, but it also instills it with a sense of readiness, which translates beautifully to the quite physically taxing job of public speaking. Now, providing you keep this sense of readiness and don't fall into a slouch, not only does it provide you with the brilliant physiological benefits, but it also has fantastic psychological benefits. This sort of posture has been described as a winner's posture, which helps to stimulate positive endorphins in your own mind, but it also assures people who are watching you that you look like a winner, a confident person, and someone they should be listening to. And that's a great first win for you to have in your public speaking situations. Okay, Josh, now we've warmed ourselves up. Shall we pick up our conversation from where we left off?
Yes, please. I can do the snapping thing.
Yeah, it's sort of more like this. Okay, so your body is warmed up. You have a confident posture to return to. Can we explore how else you don't quite feel physically right when you're speaking?
Well, I feel uncomfortable standing up there and talking. There are definitely some bad habits I have that I want to get rid of.
Okay, I appreciate your reflection there, but what we're going to do is try not to get rid of things that you do or get rid of habits. What these will be is genuinely a reflection of what your needs are in this situation. So what we're going to try and do is work through what you're demonstrating your needs are and maybe find ways to do and express those needs, but in a way that complements your speech. One of the best ways to assess yourself is to record yourself speaking and to watch it back. Here, I want you to observe what Josh is doing physically and to note if there are things which don't look or feel as good as they could be. We have an innate sense for these sorts of things when we watch other people. So if we can watch, we might be able to learn as well.
A paper by McLeod et al. States that research has shown that 1, the slower a food is eaten, the less food is consumed overall, and 2, context affects portion selection. This study aimed to explore whether eating rate and food intake are influenced by consuming foods in usual versus unusual mealtime contexts. Furthermore, this study aimed to identify whether mealtime-specific appropriateness and previous consumption frequency corresponded with differences in eating rate and food intake between contexts. 78 participants were surveyed, either cheese and tomato pasta, a typical lunch food, or porridge with milk and honey, a typical breakfast food. Ad libitum, both breakfast and lunch on separate days.
Okay, viewers at home, I hope you had a chance to view what Josh was doing and make some notes. I'm going to provide some feedback to him now. So, Josh, I'm just going to repeat that what I've seen in you are not things which we are trying to take away or bad habits, but they are you conveying what are your needs to cope with a public speaking situation. So what I'm going to do in feedbacking to you is not try and take anything away and say that what you're doing is wrong. I'm saying that it could potentially distract from what you're presenting more so than complement it. So I just wanted to preface with that, and I noted that during your speech, you need to expend some physical energy, and you do that by playing with your clothes, by playing with your hair a little bit, and what would be unhelpful is to tell you to stop that. What will be more helpful is to give you some options. So I noted that if you have something to expand your physical energy, which looks a bit more congruent for the situation, like a fidget toy or a pen. So take one of these two things and use it within your situation. So be unapologetically using whatever it is that you have to show people that this is just something which you use. And it may help you to expend that little bit of slightly fidgety energy that you have if you've got something to do with your hands. Secondly, maybe related to your need for an energetic outlet, is that you rock on your feet a little bit, just forward to back and also side to side. And again, what I don't want to do is say to stop rocking. If that is something which you naturally do to cope with any situation, that's absolutely fine, and I'd encourage you to keep unapologetically rocking. However, if you would like to, I can offer you some options instead of rocking, if you would prefer. Would you like to?
Yes, I would. I didn't even know I did those things, and I'd probably be okay not doing them.
Okay, brilliant. So what I want you to do is, for those at home as well, if you can stand, to stand up. And Josh, you're by your lectern, you are by the place that you are going to speak. And if it's comfortable for you, I want you to close your eyes. We're going to be doing a grounding exercise, which is primarily designed to develop your awareness of the space you inhabit and to make that a strong and centered one. I want us to come to our strong posture that we developed a while ago. And to get me there, after doing my physical warm-up, I like to roll my shoulders up and back, so you can do that too. Unlock your knees just by gently bouncing and bringing them to a neutral position. Just roll your neck a little bit to the left and right and center it back at the top of your neck. And then whatever surface connects you to the ground, and for you, Josh, that is the soles of your feet, I want you to imagine that out of that part, you're growing roots, like tree roots or plant roots. And they are growing down, traveling through the very earth itself, creating a tether that keeps you strong, mobilized, and ready. What's amazing is the power of your imagination. As you keep imagining these roots developing, some very subtle changes are manifesting in your physicality. Maybe not enough to see, but that mind-body connection is so powerful, and we're here to harness it. What is movement if not your mind telling your body to do something? These imaginative processes also ignite a physical reaction. So keep that image of those roots in the earth as you are stabilized in your position. If you find yourself wandering in your mind, remember where the roots are, and as soon as they can pull you back, they continue to grow and develop their strong hold. This feeling with a confident posture creates an image which looks extremely confident. And believe me, by positioning yourself in a way which looks confident, your brain recognizes that too. And it sends off signals in your nervous system which help you to feel confident and ready. Now, there will be moments where you might need to move away from your position, but what I would encourage is that movement is used sparingly and with purpose. Now, what that means is similar to the mind-body connection, we also need to be conscious of a voice-body relation, in that what we say should, if we can, be reflected by our physicality and vice versa. When these things are in harmony, it just works. When they are in discordance, something looks and feels off. So come back gradually to the situation that you're in, Josh, and open your eyes if you're comfortable. And those at home as well, come back to the situation at hand. So I just want to demonstrate what I mean by that exercise. So just to riff off the thing you were talking about earlier, Josh, notice what I'm doing with my physicality, with my movement, and just keep those notes in your head for the time being. So it's noted that food to mealtime associations have an impact on eating rate, how much we eat of something, how quickly we eat something, versus if I were to do this. Now, we found that eating rate has a significant effect on something such as the context the food is eaten in, how much we eat of that food, and how quickly we eat that food too. Did you notice what I was doing there? The difference between those two ways of moving with the way that I was speaking?
Yeah, the first one looked like you were just thinking about something, like it was just a stream of consciousness, whereas the second one, it looked more rehearsed, like you're about to tell me a story.
Bang on. The way we move must be connected to our voice so that we can communicate from multiple levels. Our body has a huge part to play in how we speak. Isn't that neat? Another thing I want to touch on, mainly for you at home, is eye contact, a really powerful tool for you to connect with your audiences. If this is something that is difficult for you for whatever reason, that's fine, as you can connect with people in so many other ways. However, for those who feel comfortable to develop this skill, what if I were to tell you that when you meet someone's eye in a conversation or in a public speaking setting, you both release the happy brain chemical, oxytocin. It's a pretty powerful effect and is another tool for you to be able to utilize in your public speaking settings. It is particularly easier to deploy if you have your script memorized and you can meet the eye of people in the audience. It helps them engage with you and makes them more endeared towards you. But don't hold the gaze for too long, though. The average time for it to feel weird is about 3 seconds. But if your instinct is telling you it's been too long, I would trust that too. The most beneficial way for you to develop this, though, will be outside of our course. So I encourage you, with the understanding of the power of eye contact, try and develop your ability to meet the eyes of friends, family, colleagues, and so on. So to sum up, if you can, stay planted in one space and try to meet the eyes of your audience. And when you do want to move, let it be connected to the things you're saying or the things you need to do. Now, speaking of things being connected to what we're saying, I want to play a little word association game. And I want you at home to play along too. I'm going to call out a phrase, and I want you, if you can, to show me the physical way of conveying that idea. In other words, a gesture. Okay, I say a phrase, you do a gesture. This needs to be the first thing that comes to your mind. So let's go. Are you watching at home? So, a big idea. Just a tiny thing. Coming together. Rolling it around in my mind. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's this side and there's this side. It gives me the chills. Okay, I'll stop now. What I'm showing here is how naturally gestures and the communication of ideas go together. These movements can be really helpful to convey our point and to tell an interesting story. You'll have noticed how when you were really paying attention to the meaning of the phrase, you could immediately think of a complementary gesture. It's like a whole extra level of communication that can convey a message much more richly than words alone. Sometimes when we get wrapped up in our speaking, or if we're finding the whole situation of public speaking a bit stressful, we don't give as much thought to this very important aspect of communication. If this sort of thinking and mind-body connection doesn't come naturally to you, or you express yourself physically in a different way, that is absolutely fine, and please be unapologetically you. But if we know the impact that gesture has on communicating our ideas, why wouldn't we want to use them more effectively? For some, gesturing comes naturally. For others, it doesn't. We don't want you to be doing anything that is forced or looks inappropriate. For example, there is an appropriate area where your gestures should be gesticulated. The appropriate area for gesturing roughly looks like this. If I gesture within this box, it looks natural. Outside the box, and we're heading a little bit too far into the world of theatre, as this looks a little bit showbiz. Your gestures also need to be thoughtful, not overused or repetitive if possible. And while you may use your hands to help you communicate what you're saying, distinct gestures should be used sparingly and smartly to really help you convey a point. So, the few basic rules if you're venturing into the world of gesturing then. Make sure that they match what you're saying. Don't make them too showbiz. Use them sparingly and smartly. And finally, when you're not gesturing, let your hands rest by your side instead of anywhere else. Now, if this whole world of gesturing still feels a bit complicated, I recommend you start noticing how other people around you are gesturing a bit more. How do some speakers you enjoy use gesture? How did it help you understand their message? Then, don't be afraid to practice them yourself. Practice makes perfect. Explore what gestures feel like in the privacy of your own space, and then start to test them out in the real world. So, Josh, do you feel a bit more comfortable with your physicality now when you're speaking?
Yes, I do. I understand that I need to warm the body up so I'm ready and dynamic, but I also need to think about how I am physically. So that is how I stand, how I gesture, how I move, and that everything I do complements each other and how I speak and vice versa.
Spot on. The mind-body connection is really, really important and what we've been trying to achieve. So it's now your job to go away and develop what we've learned here. So film yourself speaking, have a look and see if you can apply some of the things we've learned just now, and use this little bit of knowledge to improve progressively your public speaking ability. So now feel free to move at your own pace, or go ahead and click the next video where we look at the quite important part, what we say and how we say it.